So, have I done any British tabs for you? I'm trying to remember, but I can't quite. I know that I've been covering a lot of the American tabs recently, so let's throw Fuller's in there. And this one is one that's like super notable. First of all, I do want to call out that with this, you'll notice that this shield is kind of wiggling around. That's because this particular one actually has a little bit of a break in the plastic. So at some point, I'll probably repair that, but because it's not really in tip-top shape, then it most likely will just be permanently in my collection. I know that some people will still send them out after repair, but that's a little bit of a judgment call. And with this, there's a couple of things to call out. First of all, we do have this shield, and that design is worth calling out because it's easy to not know that this shield is missing. When you're looking at it, it's really just an element that goes on and is screwed on to kind of hold there and be attached. But that does mean that if you're seeing a Fuller's tap and you're only seeing Fuller's there, but you're not seeing any sort of indicator of the actual beer, then that means that it might be missing the shield there. You always want to take a look for that. With this, the shield is pretty cool, so it is shiny, it does have a lot of great details on it. I believe that those are awards that they've won in the past for their ESB. Got details about the beer. It is ESB here we have is extra special bitter. And then we've got Fuller's and their name and the griffin that they have going on up top. And then this actual tap handle itself, these are commonly made out of ceramic. So I believe that that is a ceramic tap. And actually, if we look down here, then we can see there as well. That's a great way of kind of checking, because a lot of times with the ceramic taps, you'll be able to see at the bottom where it doesn't have that kind of glaze or paint. It's also worth noting the actual ferrule here. So this is a different design of ferrule than you would have seen with some of the other ones. It is a fairly common style, so it's one that kind of arches out and then has that little dip and then goes back out again. And it's worth noting that there are a number of different variations on that. So there are a couple of different sizes depending upon the tap, and there's also a couple of different colors. So just because you have a tap that used one of these doesn't mean that it'll automatically be the right size. You do need to double check in the size to see whether or not it's the smaller one or larger one, and there's a couple of design variations. So always good to double check there. As I mentioned before, you do have Fuller's that is actually painted on to the actual tap itself. That should be on both sides there, so front and back. And then now we'll get to an absolutely wonderful portion of it, which is the finale. So they do have a custom finale that they have done here. So this is a metal one. Let's see if we can get a good sound, or at least it should be metal. And actually, you can kind of tell by a little bit of the wear there. But these, with the Fuller's ones, I believe that they're typically metal. You will notice that it is missing a portion of the tail there. Let's see if we can get that focus. So we would expect that to look like this. So we would expect there to be a tail that goes up and is curved out. It's not uncommon for that to be broken. Unfortunately, it is a slightly fragile item. So while most of the other parts, so the actual face and the wings and that sort of stuff, are typically going to be complete, it's not uncommon to see that the tail is broken off at some point while the owner was storing it or during transit or something similar. You will notice here that it says Fuller's on both sides, and that is, as with the rest of it, that is just an element that comes out. So typically that won't, this item won't be painted, aside from the fact that it should be that gold color, at least for this particular one. But there we are, Fuller's ESB. And this is a pretty iconic beer. Fuller's in general is a pretty iconic brewery.